The last Saturday in October always means one thing in Jacksonville: Florida, Georgia. Along the banks of the St. Johns River, both fan bases convene for one of the most intense battles in all of college football. Led by Mark Richt, the Dogs reignited the rivalry in 2007. That's the whole team!
The whole team is on the field right now.
Then Urban Meyer's Gators snapped back 1 year later. In 2010, a rare instance of a coach taunting a player with the player prevailing. 2 years later, a fumble was forced and tears were shed. Fast forward a decade, and both programs are in much different spots. Georgia, fresh off its first national championship in 41 years, looking for another.
You look at what you've done well, what you've done poorly, and how can we do it better? And we sit down as coaches and say, all right, what do we need to do to win the next 5 games, 6 games, and we target that area.
Florida is on its 5th head coach in 12 years, searching for stability and success. And Billy Napier is fully aware of the opportunity that lies ahead.
Defending national champs and the number 1 team in the country presents a great opportunity, and certainly we look forward to it.
These two programs hate each other so much, they can't even agree on how many times they've played. But one thing is for certain: the stadium in Jacksonville will be split down the middle, with red and black on one side and orange and blue on the other. And this gathering won't be friendly. It's a rivalry that represents what we love about college football, and we've got a front row seat on CBS.
Yes, the 100th meeting between the two, the 27th straight year that they're playing in Jacksonville. And you see the line there, Georgia favored by 23 points. That line has actually increased. Other games this afternoon in terms of notable games, the Demon Deacons became bowl eligible last week. They have 3 straight ranked opponents after this game versus Louisville, which they come in as 3-point favorites. And then you get Oklahoma State versus Kansas State, the second of the ranked on ranked games this weekend. Cowboys have won the last 3 meetings and will go for their 43rd win in series history. K-State 1.5-point favorites going in. All right, let's get some winning ingredients for our SEC Game of the Week delivered by Papa John's. And to do that, we welcome in Chip Patterson and Tom Fornelli. Tom, a big line here for the Bulldogs, and justifiably so, given the balance that they've shown lately in terms of their entire squad. So what are the winning ingredients for them here, and what does Florida need to do to try and garner the upset?
Florida needs to find a way to get explosive plays to put points on the board, because this is a Georgia team that is one of the more complete teams in the country. There's a reason it won the national championship last year, and there's a reason it's a contender to win the national championship again this year. They can score, and they can keep you from scoring. And those are pretty basic things, but when you put them together, good things typically happen. So if you're the Gators and you want to pull off an upset here and kind of turn the SEC East on its head in a bit and keep yourself alive in the division race, you're going to have to find a way to put points on the board in a hurry, whether it's Anthony Richardson with his legs making things happen when plays break down, vertical plays, it's explosive plays in the passing game, or being able to run the ball against a Georgia defensive front that makes it very difficult to do so. Now, will they be able to do that? I'm not very optimistic about their chances, because when I look at this Florida team, I mentioned one of the things that they have to do. Anthony Richardson needs to make plays when things aren't going their way or as they're supposed to. And Anthony Richardson has done a very good job of that in his career, because he's very big, he's very fast, and when he gets in the open field, he's difficult to tackle. But this is not a very good matchup for him, because Georgia's defense is filled with men who are very big, very fast, and can tackle Anthony Richardson. So I don't see that happening, but I'm worried about taking the Bulldogs on the spread here, because crazy as it sounds, this is the SEC Game of the Week. It's Georgia, Florida. It's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. But it's not even the biggest game in the SEC East this weekend. That one, I think, is Tennessee and Kentucky. So I wonder if Georgia, if it builds a lead in this game, in the second half, if they're sitting on that lead and nursing it, they don't start to look forward to next week's game against Tennessee, which is a bigger game for them. So personally, I like the under in this one. If you just look at the history of this series, the under has gone 7-1-1 in the last 9 meetings. I don't have a lot of faith in Florida being able to put a lot of points on the board in this game. I think if Georgia does get the lead in the second half, it will probably look to take the air out of the ball and make sure everybody gets out there healthy and rested for next week's game against Tennessee. So I just think that the under is the smartest play here. I don't think there'll be enough points scored in the game to trust Georgia to cover a spread this large.
Oh, there are so many signs, and they are all pointing towards taking the under. Georgia unders in general, 5-1 on the year. And need I remind you that one time that the over did hit was a garbage time touchdown by Auburn as they were getting their tails kicked by the Bulldogs. It's been a great under team all year. Tom mentioned right there, 7-1-1 in the last 9 times that the cocktail party has gone under. Additionally, there is the matchup itself. This is a Florida team that is, not sitting back there with Kyle Pitts and lots of future wide receivers that are going to be in the NFL. No, this is a Florida offense that with Anthony Richardson and a deep running back room wants to run the ball. That means the clock continues to move. And one appropriate nitpick of Georgia recently has been the fact that they don't have a lot of the explosive passing that they had earlier in the year. I would point out that a lot of that has to do with injuries, particularly the injury to wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. But again, that leads to more running the ball for Georgia. Clock continues to run. So Georgia unders have been fantastic. Georgia-Florida unders have been fantastic. Florida is a team that does not necessarily move the ball a lot through the air. Now, a lot of this is all pointing towards taking the under. And I'll throw one last piece on here because I think that Florida knows that trying to be able to keep this low scoring is their best chance to pull off the upset. They tried to take a lot of risks against Tennessee. I don't think that Georgia's defense is the kind of defense you want to take risks against. So if Florida wants to have any chance to win, if Florida wants to have any chance to cover this spread, you shorten that game and try to have it as little of a deficit going into the fourth quarter as possible and hope for some rivalry magic. All of it points to the under.
Georgia has allowed just 10 points against over the past 2 weekends combined. But Anthony Richardson says, hey, he's had this game circled, so let's see how it goes for Florida. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, the 100th meeting between the two, coming up in Jacksonville. 27th straight year they've been doing it there. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Jenny Dell are on there for every snap. The under is the play. You can watch the game live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS, or if you're on the go, you can stream it on Paramount Plus.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.